Wesi pa. Nansa by na me.
Whiskey.
Wash. All of a sudden, my voice I different. And when you saw a call. Barman, bring me the honey whiskey. You know the one? Black Rock Whiskey.
Honey whiskey.
Shale, honey near their fro. Black Rock Whiskey is strong. Now to taste me is smooth and it goes down easy. Excuse me. Barman, bring my friend one Black Rock Whiskey.
Black Rock Whiskey, blended with natural honey flavor.
Hey, what's up?
Barman.
Hey, what the over Sikanton Sada? You've been to a man, no.
Black Rock Whiskey, Kebby, the feel is smooth, no.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years of age and not recommended for pregnant women. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
There are days when you think, whoa, today I've earned it. So order a Glovo. Days when plans run longer. What if we order a Glovo? Or days when you can't control everything. Oh yes, because on Glovo, you can order anything you want. Glovo, you order, we deliver.
My name is Tina. I am a person living with HIV. I got to know my HIV status after I gave birth and lost the child because of HIV. In those days, prevention of mother-to-child transmission services had low patronage due to fear and stigmatization. Today, many HIV-positive women have delivered negative children. I follow the guidelines and take my HIV medicine called ARVs every day, as prescribed by my doctor. This makes me strong and healthy, and also prevent me from passing HIV onto any future child. Please, avail yourself for PMTCT services when pregnant. It is the only way to ensure you do not pass the HIV onto your baby during birth or pregnancy. If you have tested for HIV recently and it was negative, test again when pregnant. If you have tested positive, go to the hospital after birth as directed by your healthcare provider. Your baby will be given medicine immediately and tested to ensure baby and mother are well. Let us work together to have an HIV-free generation.
Our children must be free to shine.
Can he tee up someone in red? And it goes to
What the 5 Champions League? You want to know? I be the real goat.
To unraveling, that could lead to actually dealing with this menace, if not once and for all, curtail it to a very minimal, incident. So it says no evidence. Government labels that as hearsay, and it says no evidence has been submitted. The document labeled as personal grievances rather than an official report. This is government's response to the Professor Frimpong-Boateng's Galamsey report. Of course, if you followed issues, you know that a member of parliament has petitioned charge to deal with to investigate the matter. You know also that the president's cousin, Gabi Otri-Darko, has gone to court over this matter. Now, while in 2016, Mahama was fighting Galamsey, we can tell right now that Akufo-Addo, who is the president right now, also had a message, and he said he was putting his presidency on the line. And this is what a lot of people are holding him to account. Why are you not resigning if you really wanted to put your presidency on the line? And we all admit that Galamsey has not been, fighting Galamsey has not been successful. Why is the president still at post? So here are some of the online news items that we've seen. So while Akufo-Addo was fighting Galamsey, Mahama, I will grant all imprisoned Galamseyers under Akufo-Addo amnesty. So you admit also that this has been a generational problem. It's come from Mahama's time. We know that it also launched campaign on dealing with Galamsey, but that did not succeed. Now we're seeing Akufo-Addo's campaign is also not succeeding. Why are we going through all of this? This is something that we'll be going through, we'll be talking about, and it's going to be the thrust of our discussion tonight when my guests are seated. Now, look at the University of Ghana Business School policy brief on the fight against Galamsey. It says that Galamsey operators are aware of the importance of their votes for incumbent political parties and have often exploited the political vulnerability of those in power. It further says that illegal mining has persisted in Ghana not because of weak state capacity, but primarily because of political leniency and law enforcement corruption. Any anti-Galamsey crusade that fails to tackle the political drivers of the problem is unlikely to succeed. And this is the thrust of Professor Frimpong-Boateng's report. He has indicated that there are a lot of these political appointees, so-called powerful actors in this whole Galamsey business, and the reason he wants government to deal with it. That report has been there until it came out for all of us to know that there's something like that at the doorstep of the presidency. Did the president act on it? No. As we speak now, the presidency has rubbished that report. Where does this lead us? Let's have a conversation after this break. My guest tonight, Dr. Ken Ashibe, he's convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Professor Paul Sampini, he's Associate Professor of Pathology at the School of Medical Science at KNUST. Inusa Fuseini, he's former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. All of them will be joining us in the studio with me. Daryl Bosu, he's Deputy National Director, Arocha, Ghana. And if you've been following the activities, you know they do a lot of research in mining areas. Let's have a conversation after this break.
Can he tee up someone in red? And it goes to
I got 5 Champions League. You want to know? I be the real goat. Chairman. I be the goat. The left magician. The left magician.
Who is the goat? Ghana Jollof or Nigerian Jollof?
Ghana Jollof has no co-equal. The smell alone. Oh my God.
Oh, that shit. You took the lie. Now the same stew when they use cook the rice and then they go put them for top.
Hey, you are lying. Ghana Jollof.
Are you here? Forget everybody. Yeah, my guy. Put some respect on the goat.
On the goat. The only goat I know lives in Tema.
Every year we dey give to you back.
We are talking about BET. I want to hear the face.
Except be the goat, huh?
My guy, he be the goat.
Though our choice of goats may differ in football, music, and jollof, Alomo Bitters always brings us together. Alomo, experience greatness in every moment.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18, nor recommended to pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
EcoBank salary account, bro. With the EcoBank salary account, you will enjoy free life insurance, free debit card, save while you spend, and an amazing chance to double your salary. And even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank double salary promo reloaded.
Guy, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yara. But maybe next time, Charlie, you know what? I had to go shine my shoe.
Hey! Yo, myself, I had to go check my BP.
We going up, never go down, and we stay fly.
Chairman, you see the white sign it here.
Who be late?
Open an EcoBank salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
And the job life regardless.
This promo is under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Veritas Lottery Platform.
crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows. Download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MindJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast, and Pandora. Take note of everything. Sign up for the multimedia digital platforms now to stay updated.
Supernatural Empowerment Summits 2023. Meet the revivalists, the heads of global denominations, and the kingmakers. This year, in Archbishop Charles Ojenosari's 40th year in a miracle ministry and the 10th Supernatural Empowerment Summit, expect life-changing insights for ministry and impartation for the next level. Host and speaker, Archbishop Charles Ojenosari. Other speakers from Ghana, Dr. Robert Ampia Kofi, Apostle Eric Nyamiche, Reverend Dr. Stephen Wengam, and also Bishop Joseph Imakando, Zambia, Bishop Joseph Matera, USA, Apostle Yves Castano, Congo, Apostle Abraham Gaji, Cote d'Ivoire. Date, Monday 22nd to Friday 26th May 2023. Time, evening session, 5:30 p.m. daily. Morning session, 8:30 a.m. daily start on Tuesday. Venue, Perez Dome, Jolu Junction, Accra, Ghana. Contact, +233-548-633-650 or www.scsummits.org. Supernatural Empowerment Summits 2023.
Welcome back to PM Express. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're delving into a very sensitive matter tonight, and my guests all are set for this discussion. Dr. Ashigbe, Professor Sampeni Inusa-Fuseini, and Daryl Boso is here with me in the studio. To set the tone, let me start with you, Professor Sampeni. Very interesting revelations we're having there, learning that babies who are born in these areas have cognitive impairment and other deformities. I mean, I want to understand how this can happen.
And then let me first do one or two acknowledgements. I want to acknowledge my senior Australian, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, and then Honorable Inusa-Fuseini, former Minister of Mines, and your very self for inviting me to talk on this issue. It has been an issue that for myself and for, in fact, my children, and for probably your children as well, and the children yet unborn, that we deal with some of these menaces as soon as possible. Otherwise, we are going to have problems. Let me first say that my work, the initial work that I did, I will not say it's a research for that matter. I did what we call a case study at 3 different regions in Ghana, of which it involved 4 different babies, 2 from one region, 1 from one other region, and then the other one from another region. And I came across some of these things, and as a pathologist and for that matter, a scientist and a researcher, let's say a lecturer, some of these things, when you see, it dawns upon you to have a look at it. What could have been the issue here? Is it just sheer coincidence or something that one can look at it and say, look, this is the trend? How do we make a line? How do we make assessment as to what we should look at, and then and so on and so forth? Let me give you a simple analogy. I remember, and I believe that my senior, I don't know whether I'm the senior or I should be the senior. I competed in 1984 as a
senior.
Wow, I competed in 84.
I competed in 88. Even that is 88.
Then I should be. Then I'm a senior. I'm a senior. Then.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. I finished 84, and then 86. In fact 88. 86. I completed what we call 6th form. Anyway, that is just by the way. But see, having looked at what I'm saying, I don't know whether I remember. I think some years ago when an issue occurred, a medical issue for that matter, where some students were dying of some strange disease in Kumasi Academy. I believe you remember. And in fact, they were all being buried without having to check whatever the cause was. I had to make a call to the school and told them that, look, the rate at which these students that were dying of something that looked like malaria. And I felt it shouldn't be, malaria shouldn't kill people or children or students who are after a certain age. So I asked that I am allowed to do autopsy on them. In fact, I was blandly refused, but I have to persist. And then went ahead chasing these students from various hospitals, from various places where they were sent to. And then the autopsy revealed that they all had a similar pattern of death and a similar pattern of clinical presentation. And then I had to send these some samples for further tests, and it came out that these students were dying of what we call H1N1, this virus. And then that is how it came out that these students, we eventually had to halt the listing, because otherwise we would have thought that these students were dying of certain things that we didn't know. So when this thing came up, when I had the opportunity, for instance, to do this, and I decided, look, let me have a look at it and see exactly what is the problems. And then that is how I came about the findings. And then my story so far.
All right, so you're saying that, but this is actually risky, that children born in these areas have cognitive impairment and deformities. How grave is this situation?
Well, thank you so much, my dear. It's not only cognitive impairment. Cognitive impairment is one of them. But the most serious thing that is also coming up, in fact, which of course, if any scientist, anybody who wants to have a look at it will also check, is about the fact that not only that these children are born with this cognitive impairment, some of them are born what we call stillbirth, where they die in their mother's uterus or their mother's uterus. And then some of them also will have to go through what we call spontaneous abortion. And then if they are lucky and they come onto this earth, some of them will have all manner of congenital anomalies, such as those that I've shown, those that I've spoken about in my previous interviews and my previous conversations with various media houses. Children with different limbs, about 4 limbs, not only about 4 limbs, some of them having to have what we call eyes that are situated in the funny area around the forehead. Some of them will have what we call polydactyl, which means that their limbs will have, in fact, if you talk about the digitals, the fingers will have maybe 6 here, 6 there, another 6 on the limbs, making it 12, having 24 digitals. And then some of them were born without, not born actually, let me say, were delivered without genitals. Not delivered as the mother going to the labor or to deliver, no. Some of these things, what happens is that these children, because of their development, they cannot synchronize with their mother's time of, let's say, at the time of what? Labor. So they will have differences because of their cognitive, some of their cognitive impairment. They don't synchronize with their mother's way of delivery. So basically, they cannot be born naturally. That is what we medically call spontaneous vaginal delivery. So most of the mothers, most of them are from the remotest part of where this galamsey work is being done. So by the time they are brought to the hospital, they are already dead.
I received it.
You understand? They are already.
The new Chevy Silverado HD puts you in command. Own strength with its enhanced available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8. Own the lake with its available advanced towing technology. And own technology with an available 13.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. The new Chevy Silverado HD. Own work, own play, own life. Learn more at Chevy.com. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life, from carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better, night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. See store for details. Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life, from carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better, night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. See store for details.
One Mississippi, two Mississippi.
Keep counting at those stop signs, Alex. Full stop and doesn't go until she counts to 5, McSweeney. Because you are a safe driver. And like most drivers who sign up for Snapshot from Progressive, which customizes your rate for how and how much you drive, you could earn a discount for your good driving. So don't turn into an Alex rolling stop and goes whenever she wants, McSweeney. Because once an Alex full stop and doesn't go until she counts to 5, McSweeney, always an Alex full stop. Well, you know the rest. Sign up for Snapshot today.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Especially if you happen to, I believe that my junior, sorry for using it as a junior, I'm not a junior now, but whatever it is, if you have the opportunity to read the literature, it tells you that the placenta is one of the areas through which these heavy metals pass through to the babies. And so it can actually cause chromosomal aberrations, they can cause mutations, and they can cause developmental retardation or developmental changes or critical changes, especially if you read the medical literature. What it says is that at any given time, as soon as conception takes place, at any given time, the baby develops at a specific time. So assuming that the hand is supposed to develop at let's say within 3 days, and there's this interference there, what it means that the hand may not develop. Even if it develops, you're going to have that aberration or aberrational, this thing, what we call chromosomal aberrational mutation, or mutation of the DNA, which is going to cause some of these things that have come across. In fact, it's not something that I just guessed. I took the placenta of these mothers because some of these things, when I saw it for the first time, I thought I was those things I read in the medical books. So I first decided, let me go and have a look at it as a scientist and as a pathologist and have a look at what could be the reason. And these are some of the things that came out.
That you found out. Darrell, you have been going across the country conducting research in mining areas. Have you come across some of these health effects, on people who live around mining areas?
Yes, I think this finding is quite revealing and also not surprising because there are several cases in several parts of the world where these incidents have been observed in many areas. So they are well documented, and it's just, I guess, about time that we have a researcher in Ghana who has really taken time to actually find out what's going on the ground. But I have to say that in our case, we have not actually come across some of these incidents, even though we've seen cases where the miners themselves who are in the pits actually complain of certain ailments that are not something you usually see among, and these are young people who you see they have fallen sick, and sometimes they depreciate over time, and without any cause, you see that these guys all of a sudden just fade away, and some of them die and all of that. So I think we are yet to really commit. We've not paid attention to it. We'll be more concerned about the natural environment and how these things actually play out over there. And I think there was one incident where we actually did some research on the areas where these mining activities are happening. And as you see, you come across this where you have high deposits of heavy metals, all beyond levels that is recommended by the World Health Organization. So that means that if you are in these areas, the food and everything, the water and all of that, the contamination is actually going to be there. And we know also about the bioaccumulation or some of these heavy metals and fishes in rivers and streams and all of that. So these are things that actually is real, is recorded, is well documented in many parts of the world. particularly with mercury injection and also with cyanide and all of the lead as well. And these are things that we have recorded in most mining areas, that heavy metals are all in much higher levels than is required.
Minister Fuseni is with us. He's former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. In my introduction, I talked about how his government also attempted to deal with Galamsey, but did not really succeed. Minister Fuseni, how does it come across to you as a former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources there's a latest development that babies who, know nothing about all of these are the ones actually bearing the brunt the most?
So, Aisha, let me extend my sincere regards to you and my co-panelists, especially Kena Sigwe and Dara Bunsu, and also to welcome Professor Osei Sampani to the discussion. In fact, it's thrown a lot of light on what is happening in the mining fields. It is always known, it's a known fact, that heavy metals can cause dislocations in the ecosystem in the mining areas. We all know that. When they pollute the water bodies, they can kill our fishes. When they kill the fishes, we ingest them, we catch them and ingest them. They transfer onto us. So, even grown-ups will suffer from kidney diseases because kidney problems, because the heavy metals will finally lodge in the kidneys and impede whatever development and functions the kidney might serve the human body. Babies clearly, the beginning of the human race, in the mother's womb, they are insulated against external forces. But when you introduce consciously or unconsciously these heavy metals, which are extremely hazardous to them in their mother's womb, you will find deformities. And the scientists have known that. The environmentalists have known that. Just visit the hospitals. When I was Land and Natural Resources Minister, some 8 years or so ago, more than 8 years ago, but 10 years ago, it is very known to me that the use of heavy metals, unregulated use of heavy metals in the illegal mining sites was compromising our health. And the mothers and babies were likely to suffer the full brunt. I can tell you as a matter of fact that in one such visit to a mining area, we found a little boy trying to open a bottle containing mercury with the mouth. Can you imagine how dangerous that activity was and how he was overexposing himself to the dangers of mercury? But in ignorance, total absolute ignorance. That is why, as we continue to count the cost of illegal mining activities, we must make a conscious, determined effort to stop that illegal mining activity. In fact, the cost is that if we do a natural resource accounting, and yesterday I read the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, my brother Abu Jinapo, say that we had gotten 1.2 billion for small-scale mining. In fact, we have lost more than we have gained from the small-scale mining sector. We have lost more than we have gained if you count the cost of illegal activities in the mining side. So let me thank Dr. Osei Sampani. I'm left in no doubt. I have been exposed to the dangers of hazardous chemicals being used, especially mercury and cyanide, being used in the small-scale mining side. I knew when I was Lands and Natural Resources Minister more than 8 years ago that this would have a direct consequences on humans who were living in those areas. And some could ingest them by way of accident. I mean, just even look at oranges. You know, when you were growing up, you heard of Obuasi Anka. Obuasi Anka became famous because many activities were going around Obuasi. And the subsequent research showed that the cyanide that was being used in the mining areas was finding itself into the oranges, and it was making the orange sweeter. And so Obuasi Anka got its name in the market as sweet orange, not knowing that the chemical that was being used, the cyanide or chemicals that were being used on the mining site, were seeping into the orange. And so we have always known. We are the people. There as environmentalists, Dr. Osei as a pathologist and lecturer, my good brother and friend Kenneth Gay, the chairperson of the media coalition against illegal small-scale mining, must intensify the fight, but loosen the fight. And as we continue to count the cost, we will be further surprised by the level of decay in the water bodies, by the fact that we are closing the veins of our economy. Our cocoa fields are being degraded with careless abandon. That our cocoa beans are being threatened with a ban, prohibition in the European Union because of traces of heavy metal. But look, you can, as we sit here and converse about the dangers of unregulated mining, and I use unregulated because there is nowhere on earth that allows mining without regulations, because we know of the dangers of mining. So the dangers of unregulated mining is saying that it can wipe us all out. Nobody is immune.
Dr. Ashigbe, I mean, not too long ago, you sat on this platform and you told Evans Mensah how disappointed you were with Professor Frimpong-Boateng's report, which, I mean, we all thought that some of the recommendations could have helped dealt with this old age problem. And you were disappointed because it has not been given the needed attention. You must be frustrated this night to find out that babies are being born with, several deformities because of this same canker.
Aisha, good evening to my senior and my co-panelist and yourself, and good evening to Ghanaians. Unfortunately, we are on the path of ecological suicide. That's what we're doing. I was looking into, I went to Takoradi today. So I was looking, as we're flying into Takoradi, I was looking into where the cobra gets into the sea. And you could clearly see that, inward, deep sea was almost light green, but close to the estuary and quite a distance into the estuary, the color was the same color as you're getting in the cobra. So the challenge is that all of those heavy metals that we're seeing, are getting into the sea as well. So it's not only the river fishes that now we need to be worried about. It's not only the food that we plant in there that we should worry about, but even now the sea as well potentially could be. When we started in 2017, when we started this campaign against illegal mining, the CSIR had gone into the western region to do some research. On their way back, they bought bread, like the way they sell bread around the cars and all of that, and brought the bread back to their offices, and they tested them. In 2016, there was heavy, there was presence of heavy metal even in the bread that they were selling, in those communities. And so the fact that, and the problems that my senior doctor is talking about, a lot of that is coming from the lead and mercury. They result in those issues. And as also Honorable Minister Fuseni mentioned, we are beginning to see a lot of renal failures, and it's been documented. I think there were some doctors in Kofi Annan that were talking about younger ages getting renal failures. We also had a situation where the numbers were growing in these communities. There is Professor Emmanuel Ahin, who's done some work, and is also beginning to associate the arsenic, the copper, the lead, the zinc, and some of these elements also into for hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, as well as the renal diseases. So there's a lot of scientific evidence telling us that we are on the path of ecological suicide. We are not just cutting our tongues and thinking we have meat, but we're actually chopping our various organs and also eating them. Because you see, the sad part is that apart from the washing and things they would do, that would get into these water bodies. Because of and all of these other metals that are associated with, gold in itself, getting into our water bodies, getting into our atmospheres, a lot of them that are doing the, extraction with mercury, they bring the amalgam home. So they bring it because they want to protect it. And then they come and do the burning of it. So in closed rooms, and so all of that fumes that goes up.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life, from carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better, night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. See store for details. Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life, from carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better, night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. See store for details.
They inhale it. Not only the miners who are doing the, this crude extraction, but their families that are there also inhale it. If they don't inhale it, all of these also go up into the air. And when the rain comes, they come down. And you see, so once they come down, they get into our systems. So what we need to know is that these criminals, these, environmental terrorists who are involved in this, thinking that they are making their money, they are making it at the expense of all of us. Actually, I think the time has come for us to work together with our scientists, work together with pathologists like Doc in these communities, and start providing the linkages between the damage that we are doing to ourselves, the unexplained deaths that we are seeing in these communities, unexplained diseases that we are seeing in these communities, and maybe start getting billboards where we start putting, the images and numbers in there, so that the people in these communities can know that not only are they killing themselves, not only are these people who are sitting in Accra, in big places, who are getting them to do this thing, killing them, but they are actually even putting their babies at risk. So I think the time where we just talk about, and Honorable Minister Fuseni talks about the fact that we need to do more. Yes, we need to do more. Because now the impact is really coming home. We're in a situation where even some of these miners, look at the numbers who died in the in the pits the last time. You remember in somewhere in I think it was South America, when some miners were stuck up in pits. The way the whole world ended. What have we done? We have moved on. Did you even hear the president talk about the people who have died in the pits? No, we are normalizing these things. They are becoming so normal to us. And it's not normal. Really what we are doing, I'm not too sure any generation, of Ghanaians have done what we are doing to ourselves. And so it is really important that we now start, applying shock and awe, to all of us, for us to realize that these things that we are doing to ourselves. And I completely agree with Honorable Minister Fuseni. When, the minister talks about 1.4, billion being made out of, small-scale mining. When we all know that, billions multiple of that is smuggled out of our country. When we all know that the cost of even reclaiming our land, not even restoring it or just reclaiming it, not cleaning it up, the cost of it is into billions. We should not be talking about the fact that 3 million people are benefiting from small-scale mining. And so, yes, the good small-scale miners who are doing it well, we need to protect them. But a lot of the people who are not doing it well, we need to be doing a lot more. How is it that the MC for Bosome Frimpong, who was caught on tape confessing to an illegality, how is it that all we saw is that this man has just been sacked? But we know that the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources was talking about the fact that the penalties have been strengthened. So if the penalties have been strengthened, how come we have not taken that person through the rigors of the law? How is it that Akonta Mining and its directors are still working free when the minister himself pointed out that they were engaged in an illegality? How is it that Heritage Imperial, the directors of Heritage Imperial, who were given prospecting licenses but are engaged, and go back and look at Frimpong-Boateng's report, there is aerial footage to show that that was not prospecting, that was not exploration that they were doing. How is it that these people are still walking free? You see, so we realize the fact that what we are dealing with is terror. You see the way we deal with terrorists, the way we approach them. How come we are not dealing with people who are doing this to us the same way as we do with terrorists?
Well, I agree also that even those of us who don't live in mining areas are also at risk, because we talked about how it affects fish. I mean, the fishes eat from the rivers and all of that. We all eat fish. We all eat all of that. So all of us are at risk right now as we speak. But you want government to actually revoke all existing licenses. I mean, those who mine at forest reserves, even if they've gone through the right processes?
Yes, you see, I think there is a reason why, we believe that there is a reason why forest reserves are set up. First, to protect our watersheds, and also serve as places for biodiversity, and even help us to regulate the climate where these areas are. So if you now think that you can mine your way out of unemployment, so you give out all areas of your land for mining, then you're actually defeating the purpose for which reason these forests were set up. And if you listen to Dr. Ashigbe and also the former Minister for Lands, and very documented information on the degradation and the cost of mining to our environment, you realize that if you look at the cost as against the benefit of the value we get from gold, it's not really worth it. So we are saying that, look, if we're already mining in certain areas of reserve, which has always been the practice, there is no point we allowing people to go into our forest reserve, which are actually protecting our water bodies, protecting our habitats for biodiversity, and also helping us to deal with climate change. Because the way we are mining all of the country, everywhere is being mined now, and all you need is to show cause that there's mineral here. Minerals Commission will give you a permit. Forestry Commission will give you an entry permit to enter certain. We think it is not right. And even what is even sad is that we are asking that government revokes all of these, but unfortunately, government in last year, November 2022, actually passed an LI. Which has, in principle, opened up all forest reserves for mining.
Which is
LI, which for us is very scandalous.
2462.
LI 2462. Very scandalous in the fact that Ghana had, since 2001, had a guideline on mining in production forest reserves.
Okay.
So you realize that this one says production forest reserve. It's clearly excluded protected forest reserves, which included globally significant biodiversity areas, hill sanctuaries, key biodiversity areas, and a lot of other very significant biodiversity watershed areas across the country. Now, the LI actually has been passed contrary to what the guideline was actually saying. Now, this LI is saying it's allowing for mining in all forest reserves in this country. So, as we speak, there is no go area for mining when we come to mining. So government has actually made sure that mining can happen all over the country.
Yeah.
And that for us is scandalous. And the sad thing is that it didn't even involve civil society. It just involved just the same state agencies who have supervised the illegalities and the unregulated mining activity that has depraved all of our water bodies and also depleted a lot of our forest reserves as we speak. So it's really serious, and we believe that if government is really serious about dealing with Galamsey to address some of these issues we're talking about, then we need to set limits for ourselves as a country. It is one thing for the government to say forest reserves are red zones, rivers are no-go areas, but in actual fact, they are actually making laws giving people access to these areas, which is unfortunate. So they actually say one thing and do another.
Ms. Hussaini, I mean, as a former minister, once again, I remember in that Professor Frimpong-Boateng's report, he made mention of some political appointees, very powerful, who are engaged in this whole illegal mining. In fact, he mentions that a cabinet directive was flouted. As a former minister and as a former cabinet minister, I mean, how serious is this that there's a cabinet instruction and then people actually flout it with impunity?
Well, the impunity of this government is legendary, not so. We have always known that they like the optics. Frimpong-Boateng's report is very revealing. When we met together at the National Conference Center to deliberate on the second attempt at restarting the fight against illegal small-scale mining, I was invited. And indeed, I chaired the first session of the re-engagement. And I posted 2 advice after listening to the panel of members. But the conclusion and resolution passed after the second attempt was simply that key government officials, DCEs, that is district, metropolitan and municipal assemblies, the men in security group, the police and the military, and very important government officials, the list is not exhaustive, were engaged in illegal small-scale mining. It came to me as no surprise that between the period 2017-2018, when government announced a total ban on illegal or on small-scale mining, underline small-scale mining, that is legal and illegal small-scale mining. That was the period government exported the largest amount of gold from the small-scale mining sector. How did that come about? That came about simply because the security services and agencies who had been posted into the mining areas to clean the small-scale mining sector of illegalities were in fact complicit. In the Daily Graphic of June 2008, or thereabouts, posted that military men were providing protection for illegal small-scale miners to continue with their nefarious activities. The Minister of Defense promised to cause an investigation into the publication. We are yet to read a report from the Minister of Defense. So clearly, if you look at the run of events, since Nana Addo Akufo-Addo came into office and his infamous declaration of putting his presidency on the line, you will see a history, a chronology of failure upon failure, deceit, corruption, and incompetence. I mean, you will see clearly lack of commitment and an appreciation of the difficulties that, or the challenges that small-scale mining, and particularly illegal small-scale mining, was visiting on this country. They agreed the insatiable want of money by government appointees, the free-for-all, involvement of government appointees in these illegal activities, the ministers of state who have abused their trust and converted state property to personal property in terms of using their positions as ministers to engage in an illegal or in illegal small-scale money. If there is anything to talk about in this quantum abuse, it is those who have vested with the power to stop it, who themselves are complicit in the perpetration of this heinous crime. And so clearly, like I've said on certain platforms, when the state fails, citizens must take action. The people living in the mining areas are those who are the first liners. They inhale the fumes, they drink the infested water, or contaminated water, they eat the fruits from the mining, the degraded mining sites, and they are the overexposed. That is why we should encourage associations like the WhatsApp Community Against Mining and French communities to stand up. That is why I have discussed with Kenneth today that probably everywhere on earth there is now a growing movement that people who are directly affected by the consequences of wanton destruction of their environment must be the first liners to protect. That is why the people of Etiwa travel up and about, protecting the Etiwa forest. We should not allow anybody to sit in a crowd far removed from Etiwa and make decisions concerning the lives of the people of Etiwa. Etiwa has provided resources for millions of years to people living in those areas. People have harvested wild snails to look after their children to go to school. Etiwa is now under the threat of destruction. Etiwa serves as a water catchment area for 3 water bodies in this country. Is facing the threat of extinction. Etiwa has been declared a globally significant biodiversity area. Etiwa is facing a threat. You see, so probably if we had invested the people who live around that area, who know the benefit, who think that the gods who have looked after us all these years inhabit Etiwa, probably they would have protected.
Dr. Ashigwe, I mean, one of the things that people have been waiting to see since Professor Frimpong-Boateng's report came out was actually to, see that government has put together an independent body, at least, to probe into the matter. You also alluded to the fact that that was something that you were looking forward to. That hasn't happened. The presidency has not acted too long a time to act. Do you sincerely believe that this is a fight that we will win one day?
Aisha, I think one of the things that these criminals and these ecological and environmental terrorists want all of us to do is to give up. To say that the battle is lost so that they can continue raping the land. I still have some optimism that there are a few good people somewhere in our country. But it is really disappointing that, what we heard from the presidency was to say that the report was just somebody's personal grievances. This is a country that has passed the Whistleblowers, Act. And so that even if somebody suspected something was going wrong, we are expecting that, we would blow the whistle. And the government is supposed to protect the person and act with this. And if you have a cabinet minister, a professor, somebody who chaired the interministerial committee, come out with such damning report, and 2 years nothing has happened to it, the least you would expect is that by now, the government should declare that if we set up either a commission or a committee to look into this, they are not going to issue any white paper to cover anybody. And we should get an independent body like what, that can look into this. It should not just include just the politicians. We should make sure we have some professionals in there. We have some eminent, people of this country to sit openly, in public and invite people to provide the evidence. We should put a lot of resources and let the intelligence people follow the money through, and be able to investigate the damage that's been happening. But you see, and that's where Honorable Minister Hussaini said it. If we, all of us, keep quiet, that's when this is going to happen. We're just coming back last week from the University of Energy and Natural Resources, and there was a gathering of academia, a gathering of civil society, gathering of other professionals looking into this. So I'm happy Prof is also working at it. So there are various elements to this. I think one of the areas that all of us as civil society organization need to start pushing is that for now that we are at the IMF, one of the conditionalities that the IMF should be asking for is how are we governing our natural resources. They should be forcing government to say you need to walk the talk. You need to ensure that you are implementing the laws. And I think the Otumfuo or 32 has given government a way to go. He says that if you are a chief of his and there's galamsey happening in your community, you are not worthy to be his chief. It is the same way I was hoping that the presidency would say to all those DCs that he met, MCs that he met, every regional minister, every member of parliament, whether on the NDC or the MPP side, that has galamsey happening in your community. You are either complicit, you are either neck deep involved in it, or you are incompetent. In both ways, you cannot be representing us. We need to elevate this to the highest level and make it that if you cannot fight it, don't be part of it.
Definitely. I think that's the way to go. Let me give you some few seconds. We're running out of time. How do you intend to push for this? You want that LI repealed if possible, and then you also want government to revoke all licenses, for mining, those who are mining at forest reserves. How do you intend to push this?
I think what we need to be doing now is take the message to the people. If they have sufficient information, I believe they will act right. I said this because in 2016, we commenced research into galamsey site to see to what extent they were exposed to heavy metals. And then when we finished, we saw that there was so much heavy metal in those lands where galamsey happened. We saw that the farmers were returning to those areas to quickly plant after the miners had left. We took this to a meeting, we told the chiefs about it, and the chiefs asked EPA, why didn't you tell us that after mining, we cannot return to the land for at least 5 years because it is contaminated? And all the chiefs were angry. So I believe that if we take this information coming out as to the issues we're experiencing on the ground to the people, then they themselves would act. And I believe that this is what we need to do now, because clearly government has failed. We need the citizens themselves to act to secure our own well-being.
I'm grateful for your time. Daro Boso is with the Arocha Ghana. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashigbe, Professor Sampini, and Inusa Hussaini. My name is Aisha Brian. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.